Okay, we are back. We are in Physical Science 1109, and we are looking at the 4th edition. Somebody in the comments on the video from the first video said, I think Mr. Anger died. Has anybody heard from him? Now, you be careful. Actually, I did just get a report from my doctor that I need another major heart surgery. But I talked him into waiting till June. So we're going to get through this school year, and then I'll go under the knife again. And they're going to replace the entire aorta from the heart all the way up and over and down to about here, and then put a metal tube down inside the blood vessel all the way down into my leg to keep it open. Anyways, I won't bore you with all the details. We're here to talk about physical science. And right now I'm on page 47 and 48. Hopefully you've gotten up to that point and are ready for this lesson. You have covered this in other math classes and algebra before. And this is doing adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing when we have a number that has scientific notation, times 10 to a power, okay? So let's take, well, so first of all, some of the problems, the times 10 to, let's say, the 4th power, and then the second problem, or the second number in the problem, has times 10 to the 4th power as well. I'm looking here on page 47. The very first activity, number 1, they are both to the same power. Well, that's easy. When they're the same, all we have to do is add or subtract, whatever the case may be, the mantissa. That's the two numbers out front, okay? And then you just bring down the same times 10 to the 4th. There's nothing to solve with that. But I'm going to do a problem with you because let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 are of that type. Number 5 is a little different. So I'm going to show you there's a trick we can use. I'm stepping on my cord here. First thing we can do is take the scientific notation number and write it out in standard notation. So since it's times 10 to the positive 4 power, I'm going to move the exponent 4 places to the right, okay? So if I move it from behind, from in front of the 2, and move it 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm right here. 3.5 times 10 to the 2nd, we're going to move it 2 times, so it goes from between the 3 and the 5 to being at the end of the 35. I'm 350. Okay, in this case, we're going to add them. So that's really easy, right? You just get 3, 2, 350, 32,350. Okay, so that's a lot different. Sometimes students look at this and they think, oh, I should be able to just add this and get 6.7 times 10 to some power, but that's not going to work, okay? Because the exponents make a big difference in what the value of that number is before you add or subtract. But sometimes they give us numbers that have fairly large exponents. So then it becomes more challenging. You could write this as 1 and then move the decimal 6 times and have a very large number. And then with this number, we're going to move it only twice, which is going to make it become 265. Okay? We could do that. Another method they talk about in the PACE is to move the decimal so that this exponent ends up being the same as this one, okay? So you have to move it 4 places, and it'd be 13700, and then times 10 to the 2nd. And then you could take those two numbers and subtract them. But another method is to use your calculator. And just a little bit earlier in the PACE, they talked about using the E key. And I'm trying to find it on my calculator here. Let's see. Come on, Mr. Anger. Where is it? Okay, up here I have times 10 to a power. Let's see if that works. Parentheses, 1, whoops, parentheses, 1.37 times, and then I'm going to put in the, nope, that didn't work. All right, I should figure this out before oh, there it is, the exponent key. On mine, it's the exponent key, and a lot of them, there is an EE key, or it depends on the calculator. So let me show you what this looks like. 1.37, and then when I hit the EE key, it comes up with, let me get this closer, maybe you can see it. 1.37 times 10 to the 6th power. Okay, and that was by using this EXP key down here. Then I'm going to take that and subtract 2.65, hit the EXP key, and then hit the 2, which makes it to the 2nd power. And then when you hit equals, it carries that number out to be a fairly large number. 1,369,735. Okay? So one of the neat things about this 4th edition is that they seem to assume that by this point you have a calculator and you do know how to use it and you're kind of expected to use it. Okay? So I'm going to show you, when I can, some of those tricks on how to use the calculator. All right, let's do another similar one with this one. We're multiplying. So I'm going to use the calculator again and do the 4.12. Hit the EXP and it brings up times 10 to an exponent. So I'm going to put in 5. And then I'm going to hit times 1.3 and then hit the EXP. And now I'm going to put in 3 and then -3, okay? And then when I hit equals, then it will multiply those two together and give me the answer, all right? Now I forgot to bring the answer key in here with me. I do notice on the directions it says round to the 10th place. I know what they want you to do. Whatever answer you get, they want you to turn it back into scientific notation, okay? And have 1 digit, decimal, and then 1 place after the decimal. The 10th place after the decimal times 10 to a power, okay? So this answer that I just got, I got 535.6 on the calculator. And so I'm going to move the decimal now to get it back into here. So 5 point something times 10 to a power. All right, so our final answer, how many places did I have to move the decimal? Twice, okay? So it's going to be times 10 to the 2nd power. And then, is this going to be a 3 or is this going to be a 4? So think way back to junior high, maybe even elementary. And if the next digit after the one that we want to keep is 5 or more, then we're going to round it up, okay? If that was 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, then I would just leave it as 5.3. So I am very confident that when we go to check this one, we're going to see 5.4 times 10 to the 2nd. All right, I just did something that I promised you I would never do, and as I basically gave away one answer, okay? But I want you to do the work on your calculator and make sure you have figured out what keys you need to press with the scientific notation so that you get this answer and then can round it off to proper scientific notation.